Hello everyone! You're watching Kazakh cinema program with Bekbulat Uvaliyev. In the next 20 minutes, we will make a journey into the world of modern Kazakh cinema.
География съемок внутри нашей страны расширяется с каждым новым проектом.
The geography of filming within our country is expanding with each new project. If a few years ago films were shot only in Astana and Almaty, today filmmakers are covering all corners of the republic. In the picturesque nature of northern Kazakhstan, not far from Petropavlovsk, a film set was set up for a military drama about the Great Patriotic War called Darky or Karakis. The scriptwriter and director of the film is a well-known Kazakh cinematographer, national artist of Kazakhstan, director, screenwriter Talgat Temenov. Production designer Yarkin Suleimanov and his team spent a month and a half setting up a whole village of the war period in the steppe with a railway station, a club, a school, a post office, a mill and residential buildings. The drama Karakis will tell the stories of several characters connected with each other. They are destined to meet despite the horrors of war. The main character of the film is Karakis. She, being a camera woman, goes to the front for the sake of her lover. It is important to note that in this picture we have involved young and very talented actors. The main roles are played by young actors Yerlan Kulmurzin and Nuray Saktapova.
Before, I was not interested in the film industry. I was invited to the casting and I passed. I hope in the future I will be able to conquer the audience with my charisma.
The story of a simple man, his attempts to make the life of his family easier, experiences and ups and downs, blows of fate and ways to solve problems. Such plot moves touch the viewer without fail, because each of us could be in the place of the main character or his relatives. And if the images of the heroes are embodied by excellent actors, then success is completely guaranteed, regardless of the country of display, difficulties of translation and the difference in mentalities. The film Fire, which became the first full-length work of the young director Ayjan Kasimbek, immediately attracted attention, and not only of the Kazakh audience. Curiously, the story titled Fire was supposed to be a logical continuation of the line of Ayjan's early short films, the films Water, Air. But apparently the fate initially prepared the brighter and more noticeable way for the film Fire. The story has grown to a full-length film, and from the very first premiere in Busan in 2021, the picture immediately attracted the attention of critics and viewers.
From the moment I wrote the script to this day, I have invested a lot in the characters. I carefully selected them, wrote their features. I would like the characters to be the most natural, close, and dear.
Максимально правдоподобными и близкими, такими родными.
There is Tolik at the core of the story, the hero embodied on the screen by the people's favorite, the actor Telebergen by Sakalov. By the way, Telebergen has already been repeatedly awarded for the best male role in this picture. According to the plot, Tolik's life is not easy. It is a kind of a ballad about a little man by Robert Rojdestvinsky, set into the modern Kazakhstani realities. Like millions of other urban residents, Tolik is running around with a series of problems, loans, tedious work, and it seems that there is simply no way out of the vicious circle.
На мой взгляд, меньше всего.
The last thing we wanted to do was to sermonize, to teach people how to live, how to act. We just wanted to take a story and tell it as we see it. And perhaps the viewer will watch it and will make some conclusions.
И, возможно, кто-то увидит себя и вынесет сам для себя из фильма выводы.
This vicious circle is destined to be disrupted by fatal events that no one expected, neither the heroes nor the audience. Will the new challenge become a reason to change your whole life, taking an important step towards change, or will new difficulties break Tolik?
Фильм глубоко эмоциональный.
The movie is deeply emotional and touching. It is taken from our modern life, reflects today's problems. It's unique.
Концепция, так скажу, фильм уникальный.
Атам айтады, бұлттар су шалады деп. Сонда бұлттар қалай су ішеді?
Бұлттар да аушы.
Лично для меня, у меня...
For me personally, it is sea of emotions. There are laughter and tears. It teaches life.
Он именно жизненный фильм.
The main character and his entourage are perfectly embodied by the acting ensemble. Manshuk Айтмуханбетова wonderfully embodied the role of the life partner of the main character.
Мен өзім көбінесе комедиялық жанрда ойнап жүргеннен кейін бұл роль маған өте.
I starred in a lot of comedy projects. This role touched me to the core. My heroine comes to the city to teach children. She gets indebted. She decides to sell bauersaks to the shops.
Жағынан үйде бос отырмайын деп бауырсақ пісіріп, магазиндерге таң атпай тасыйым. Кеше сен магазинге бауырсақ апарып бергем. Килограммы 700-ден.
Every mother dreams of the well-being of her children.
Деп армандайды ғой.
Ayjan Kassimbek and the team completed work on the Fire project in 2020. It was first presented to the audience in South Korea in 2021. From the very first screenings, it became obvious that this film would have a bright festival destiny. In Singapore, Belarus, Russia, Korea, everywhere, the film received awards, and this victorious procession carries on. In the framework of the Days of Kazakh cinema, Fire was also presented in Uzbekistan.
Бұл сол кішкене ғана бір семьяның тарихы.
This is a story about a family, lack of money and other problems as a result of moving from the village to the city. Enjoy, watch it with your heart. Thanks to all.
Басты жақсылап көріп жүректеріңізден орын алады деп сенем. Шоң рахмет.
In addition to the fact that the audience certainly liked the film and the story, which could happen to any of us, seemed to respond very well to them, it should be noted that the organization of such events and guest screenings aims at the international cooperation and the development of mutually beneficial ties.
Просмотр прошел очень замечательно, то есть как бы вот наши даже.
The movie watching went very well. Everyone enjoyed it. Even the Uzbek actresses who were with us got also fascinated. Lots of interviews, lots of opinions about the movie. That's why I think the picture is very good. The procession of the work of Ayjan Kassimbek and her team on the world screens continues. It is with confidence that we can assume that the Fire will gather many more awards. And who knows, maybe an open ending, when the viewer is invited to think out how it all ends, will eventually receive a continuation. Moreover, the support of young filmmakers in Kazakhstan is currently declared as one of the highest priority tasks.
Это абсолютно главная цель.
This is absolutely the main goal that the National Cinema Support Center sets for itself, to support financially and in promotion.
Движение в том числе.
Одни из главных картин, пополнивших
Some of the main movies that replenished the Kazakhstani collection of international festival trophies in 2022 became the projects of director Darijan Umerbayev, called Poet, and The Last Session. This is the Best Director Award at the 34th Tokyo Film Festival and an award at the International Film Festival in Brazil. And today, the producer of these films, Yulia Kim, is a guest of our studio. She is also known for the projects Scheme and 18 kHz by Farhad Sharipov and the Kazakh-Japanese film Horse Thieves, Roads of Time. Yulia, welcome.
Hello.
Welcome to Kazakhstan. Have you returned from Paris?
Yes, I did. I'm very pleased to be here. It's always a holiday for me, meeting with friends, immersing myself in our cinema and work. It's always inspiring.
Сегодня хотели бы поговорить в том числе...
Today we would like to talk to you about the promotion of Kazakh cinema on the international arena. We all know that there has been a lot of good news lately, both from large and small festivals that take place all over the world. Our pictures participate and win prizes. These are short films and feature films. Can we start the conversation with how you assess Kazakhstani cinematography and its place in the world today? And how can we make the promotion even more extensively, even more global?
Продвигать его еще обширнее, еще глобальнее.
Ну, вообще, на самом деле, казахское кино и вообще кино Центральной Азии, оно вызывает большой интерес.
Kazakh cinema in particular and the cinema of Central Asia in general is of great interest among people, international public. It should be taken into account that in Soviet times, Kazakh films practically were not exposed and did not reach big festivals. And after the collapse of the Union, we independently began to apply to get exposed ourselves somewhere. People around the globe began to get to know what the cinema of Central Asia is, how people live there, what problems they face. The world began to experience our stories. This is completely new breeze, and it seems to me that it always generates the interest.
Пока еще новый такой какой-то ветерок, и мне кажется, всегда он вызывает интерес.
Есть ли какие-то универсальные...
Are there any universal tips on how to get into the programs of various festivals? How to win the hearts of selectors?
Сборщиков этих фестивалей?
Нужно понимать, что когда вы делаете фильмы, нужно всегда думать о том, до какого зрителя он в итоге дойдет.
It is essential to understand that when you make a film, you need to always think about what kind of audience it will eventually reach. If we focus on our Kazakhstani market, which is rather small, then we probably can achieve little. Therefore, in a good case, in the right case, you need to talk about the project, about the film, even before it is produced. That's why with my projects, I try to travel to film markets, project markets, talk about films, about what we plan to do, always maintain a keen interest in the directors with whom I work, so that conditionally people are already expecting the next film.
Ждали следующего фильма. Конечно, нужно подавать на фестивали. То есть всегда это такая лотерея.
Of course, you need to apply to festivals. It's always a lottery. Here we can't say which of the selectors will resonate with your story, who won't. However, if it's done honestly, if you feel that you approached it with a soul and with your inner depths and pain, then most likely it will touch upon that person. It will go from heart to heart. Is this right? There are many films on burning topics of the festivals, but it's clear that they're speculative, and such films obviously get screened out. There should still be some kind of sincerity that comes from the author and goes to the viewer.
Должна быть какая-то искренность, которая чувствуется от автора и передается зрителю.
Теперь давайте поговорим о вашем...
Now let's talk about your experience as a producer. You have visited several festivals with director Darijan Omirbayev and his films Poet and The Last Session. Darijan received the Best Director Award in Japan and the Best Film Award in Brazil. Can you tell us a little bit more about the history of these films, The Last Session and Poet?
Неге осы сендер махаббат деп зарлай бересіңдер? Одан да мына біз соғып жатқан жаңа завод туралы өлең жазса.
Гидар, у меня к вам есть одно предложение, от которого вам нельзя отказываться.
На самом деле все они об искусстве, так или иначе. Акын рассказывает историю современного поэта, которого внутри, конечно, ведет сильная...
In fact, they're all about art, one way or another. Poet tells the story of a modern poet who is driven inside by some kind of force in order to create and write. But he faces the challenge of today's time that no one reads books, let alone the poetry. And he seems to himself so unnecessary, but at the same time, something leads him from the inside. A parallel is also drawn with Muhammad Utimisov, who paid dearly for his poetry, for the spirit of freedom that was in him. This parallel between two poets, Akın's, is actually very tangible and strong. This movie shows that at all times, in all ages, the life of a poet who remains internally true with himself and doesn't work for the system is not always easy.
Жизнь поэта, который вот внутри остается верен себе, а не работает на систему, всегда это очень сложно. Вот. А что касается последнего сеанса, то...
As for the last session, here our focus probably comes to the younger generation, and Darijan reflects that if at a young age, when one is young, you're somehow imbued with art, then you should accept that thought that most likely you are doomed to a certain loneliness. Because again, in such a noisy, fast-moving world, if you choose the path of inner immersion, knowledge, art, and so on, it will be difficult to synchronize your inner content with what is happening around.
В быстро движущемся мире, если ты выбираешь такую дорогу какого-то внутреннего погружения, познания, искусства и так далее, что тебе будет сложно синхронизировать свое внутреннее наполнение с тем, что происходит вокруг.
Darijan Umerbayev is undoubtedly one of the most respected representatives of the Kazakh cinema and a great artist. In one of your interviews, you have mentioned that Darijan is quite popular and has lots of fans in France.
Во Франции, да, есть люди.
In France, yes, indeed. There are those people who watch his films all the time. They're waiting for films. They wrote to me to ask when a new film by Darijan would come out. There are people who have preserved cassettes with Darijan's films. They say they don't throw away our record players because we watch these films every year. It's actually quite inspiring. And when we were in Locarno, the premiere of the film The Last Session, young guys from Brazil and America came up to us and told Darijan, you know, your films helped us to survive during the COVID. Stay sane. We constantly rewatched your movies.
Оставаться как-то в своем уме, мы постоянно пересматривали ваше кино.
Well, if Darijan's films helped to survive during the COVID, then they also have a healing effect.
Yes.
Well, now could we discuss about what happened in Kazakhstan? We rejoice when more and more films are shot in co-production. We also know that certain steps are being taken in this direction. Even Korean filmmakers have visited Kazakhstan. What does this bring us? Can new Korean Kazakh films appear soon?
Могут ли быть в скором времени корейско-казахстанские фильмы?
Эта программа была финансирована Корейским кинофондом «Кофик» и ведущей корейской киношколой «Кафа».
This program was funded by the Korean Film Foundation and the leading Korean film school. From the Kazakh side, I was very glad that Almaty University supported us. The purpose of the program was that young filmmakers from Korean Kazakhstan finally met and began to develop projects together. Of course, it gives a lot when you're put in such conditions that you had to immediately work with the other person, do something, somehow resonate, so that your project would turn from a treatment into a full-fledged packaged product. Many participants realize what co-production is, how to behave, how to position yourself, how to defend some things that are important to you, and listen to your partner at the same time, because in fact, there is no such thing that you do everything the way you want in co-production. No, there are many of you, and the more of you there are, the more difficult it is, but it's still possible.
Которые вам принципиальны, и выслушивать в то же время вашего партнера. Вот потому что на самом деле при копродукции нет такого, что ты делаешь все так, как ты хочешь.
Co-production has many advantages because the film will be released both in your country and abroad. You can find a budget in your country and in the partner's country. In fact, there are a lot of advantages. Obviously, when you share your knowledge, work through the script together in a team, it becomes solid, as it is strengthened by an outsider's perspective. It's very important.
Прорабатываете вместе сценарий, то он тоже укрепляется, потому что у вас есть взгляд человека извне. Вот это очень важно.
Is this training program likely to turn into real collaboration and bring real results in the form of projects?
Да, если вот ребята...
Yes, if the guys continue to work together, apply for pitching and seek funding from foreign funds, then of course, yes. But it depends on the participants.
То, конечно, да, но это вот уже зависит от участника.
Ну, будем думать, что обязательно.
Let's hope that the participants will definitely work together, and not only for the Kazakh-Korean projects, but there will also be other international co-productions that will soon be screened in Kazakhstan and will also be rolled abroad. We remind our viewers that today our guest was international producer Yulia Kim.
Thank you.
Это была программа «Казах Cinema».
You watched Kazakh Cinema with Bekbolat Uvaliyev. Let's love and support modern Kazakh cinema together. There are many more interesting things ahead.